Hello everyone, welcome. My name is Ramos and I am going to talk about question tags for English 5. But what are question tags? Question tags are short questions added at the end of a sentence, usually to confirm information or ask for agreement. For example, he likes football, doesn't he? She's very kind, isn't she? John can drive a car, can he? We can see that he likes football is my sentence, and doesn't he is my question tag. And it's important in the writing to add the comma for separate the sentence and the question tag. And it's important too in speaking the intonation. For the question tag, the intonation is up. Doesn't he? Because it's a question. We can create question tags using the basic structure. The basic structure is if my sentence is positive, my question tag will be negative. For example, he likes football, doesn't he? And vice versa. If my sentence is negative, my question tag will be in positive. He doesn't like football, does he? Let's talk about specific structures for question tags. For example, with verb to be. It's important to know that if I use the verb to be in my sentence, I have to use the verb to be with the question tag, but in negative or in positive. For example, with present simple, you are happy. Are is the verb to be, and the question tag will be aren't you? And the sentence is you are happy, aren't you? Or the vice versa. You aren't happy, are you? But let's talk about past simple. They weren't late. Were they? Or vice versa. And the future, but with will be. She will be there. Remember that the negative of will is won't. And won't she? Let's talk about of another specific structure, but in this case is with the main verb. For example, if my sentence have a main verb, any verb, my question tag will be the auxiliary of the verb tense. For example, if my sentence is in present, like you work hard, the auxiliary verb of present simple is do or doesn't, right? And in this case, you work hard, the question tag is don't you? And with the past is the same. They studied a lot. Studied is the past. And the question tag will use the auxiliary verb but in the past. Didn't they? My phrase is they studied a lot. Didn't they? We use do, does, or did when we don't have another auxiliary verb, like the verb to be. But Sarah, what happened with perfect tenses? With perfect tenses, we need the auxiliary verbs for each case. For example, has or have for present perfect, had for past perfect, and will have for future present. Okay? And we need the auxiliary verbs for both, for my sentence and the negative or positive for my question tag. For example, Lian has fixed your TV. Hasn't he? You have seen that movie, haven't you? Remember, the auxiliary verb is in my sentence I need the usually verb for my question tag. The same is with past perfect. They had eaten dinner, hadn't they? Or the future, they will have arrived, won't they? But let's talk about with modal verbs. Modal verbs has an exception because when you use a modal verb in your sentence, you will need the modal verb in the question tag. For example, can or could in the next sentence. You can dance. Can't you? Remember, is the opposite. The question tag is the opposite of my sentence. Will or would? He would call you. Wouldn't he? Should or must? They should study. Shouldn't they? Might. It might rain. Mightn't it? It's important to remember that because in some cases the people think that if I use a modal verb, I have to use the auxiliary verb for the question tag, but it's wrong. We have to use the modal verb for the question tag, but in the opposite of my sentence. Let's talk about special and irregular cases. The first one is I am. With the subject I in my sentence, we don't use am not. We use are for my question tag. For example, I am late. Aren't I? Remember, aren't I? Not am not I? No. Aren't I? And another example is I am right. Aren't I? Yes, it's confusing because we know that the verb to be for I is am, but remember that this is an special and irregular case. The second special and irregular case is when we use let's. With let's, we use shall we. Remember, shall we. Always shall we. And here is not in negative, no, only shall we. For example, let's open the wine. Shall we? Let's go for the park. Shall we? Always shall we. Another special and irregular case is when we use an imperative and my question tag will have to use will you? But Sarah, what is an imperative? The imperative gives orders, instructions, or advice, but the word you or the subject you is not used because it's clear who we're talking to. For example, if I am talking to you, I don't have to use you, I just use the imperative. For example, for example, don't be late. Will you? Call me. Will you? Open the window. Will you? And remember, when I use an imperative, the question tag is will you? Don't matters if my sentence is in negative. For example, the first one, don't be late, is not do you? No. It's will you because it's an imperative and because it's an special and irregular case. And the last special and irregular case is when we use nobody or everyone. For example, we use they for indefinite subjects. And we use the auxiliary verb of a sentence. For example, the first one, nobody called. Remember that the sentence is in past because called is the past of called. And the question tag is did, the auxiliary verb of past is did, they, remember, they, no, we, or no, Them? No, they. Did they? And Sara, why nobody called did they? Did is in affirmative and not in negative because remember that nobody, yes, nobody is in negative. Nobody, nobody called. Did they? Okay? But another example is everybody. Everybody. Everybody came. Oof, everybody came. A lot of people. Didn't they? Remember, came is in past because came is the past of come. Did is the auxiliary verb of the past. Didn't, didn't they? And we use the negative auxiliary because everybody is in positive. Okay? Everybody came, sorry. Everybody came. Didn't they? That's the end of our lesson class about question tags. You will find the three activities on the slides where you can review the topic and test your knowledge and understanding about the class. Thank you for your attention and keep practicing to improve your English skills. Thank you so much. Have a nice day.